Hey everybody, welcome back to another design tutorial in Adobe Xd, and today we will be designing this UI from scratch in XD, and we'll also be prototyping it a little bit by giving some life to the send money action, and we'll be going back, of course. So again, this is a very simple UI, but I've tried to keep it as clean as possible and as straightforward as possible, and I've got a little bit of hint for this design from the Samsung Pay mobile app, which is pretty cool. So I kind of you can consider this a redesign. You can think of this as a exploration. So without further ado, let's just get started. So I have my design here, and I have all the elements saved inside here in Adobe Xd. I will be giving the XD file down in the description for you guys to download, so go ahead and do that. Okay, first of all, let's get started by creating an artboard, and for this one we'll just go for the iPhone 10 and 10s, which is pretty cool. By the way, if you have any feedback for the design, or if you wanted to make your own changes, what would those changes be? Tell me in the comments below. So first of all, I'll give this, just double click on the artboard and give this color that I've already saved, and it automatically applies to the entire artboard. Now here what I'm going to do is, first of all, I'm going to create a wave, and I'm going to do that by picking up the pen tool either from here or just by clicking on P, and just clicking one point here and moving it here slightly here, and just stretching this anchor point out, and we'll create another one somewhat here, and we'll stretch this out as well, and we'll create another one right here. And you can just randomly create a wave. It doesn't have to be pixel perfect, but it should be a good wave. And I'll just extend it to the bottom of the artboard right here, because we'll be utilizing this entire area, and make this wave be the same color as the background, because this will hide the waves that we'll put inside the background. What I'm going to do is just copy this over, so say Command D to duplicate it and bring the duplicate version up. So now, as you can see, there are two of these waves. One wave I'll give this blue color, which is a complementary color, there are two complementary colors, this blue and this yellow. Again, now this blue, I want this to be about 10%, or let's keep this at 25% opacity, and I'm just going to copy this over by holding Option and dragging this wave out just up a little bit, and one more. We're going to do one more and we keep doing this till we reach somewhat the top, or we'll leave a little bit of area at the top. I'm going to select all 4 or 5 of these waves and place them at the back. Right now, as you can see, we have that effect right now. And I also place this bottom wave slightly towards the top, and I will basically go ahead and select all of these and say Command L to lock these in, so that we don't go ahead and drag these while designing. Now the icons that I'm going to use is called Feather. It's version 4 of Feather, and feathericons.com has some pretty cool icons. Again, this is not a sponsor, this is personal preference, and I can either download all of these, or I can just search individually and download individual icons. So for example, I can just quickly search for left, and it'll give me the left arrow, and if I click on this, it automatically just downloads. That's pretty quick, and all these designs are free and open source, so you can use this in any of your projects, but do read the usage terms and everything right here in GitHub before you get started. So I've already saved some icons, as you can see right here. So I'll just copy one of these icons from here, and I'll just put them here. So the back icon is already set. The back icon is, as you can see, these icons are slightly rounded, and that is something I really like about them. So I'm going to leave the dimensions as it is, which is, by the way, 14 by 14. And here I'm going to place first of all, I'm going to place a rectangle, which will act as our profile view, or our profile picture view. And I'll remove the border. Now you must be wondering, Praneeth, how do I achieve that rounded rectangle kind of a rounded rectangle kind of shape that you've achieved? It is pretty simple. What I do is I create a simple rectangle. I double click. As you can see, there are these anchor points. I double click on these anchor points, and while holding shift, just move these handles, as you can see, inwards a little bit, not too much. And visually just remember how much you've stretched this out. So that would be 1 finger's distance, or like half of a finger's distance, and that's pretty fine. Now I'll do the same with this corner. Double click here and just hold shift, and with the same angle being there, bring it in like this, and that's about the same height as well. So that's about the same stretch. And I'll do the same exact thing on all of these corners. I tried to find a plugin to do this similar effect, but unfortunately there is no like proper plugin to do this. So we'll just have to do it manually and visually. We'll just have to visually make it like that. There's no like foolproof plan to kind of get this done. If you have another solution to make something like this, then do put it in the comments. I'll read it. And here, as you can see, the shape is ready, and I can just duplicate the shape so that I have more shapes like this. And I'll just quickly drag and drop. Oops, my battery is low, but we'll try to finish this on half battery, like 20% of battery. So I'll just drag my picture right here in here, and that is my profile picture. I'll probably make this slightly smaller, even though this size is perfect, but I'll try and make it about 100, right? And maybe even smaller. How about say 80? Yeah, 80 is much better. Let me just try 100. Let me just try an 80 real quick, and that's fine, I guess. So we'll bring this right in. Now, since we haven't placed anything, first of all, one thing that I missed and I often miss is create a basic grid, or bring these guided lines here. So make sure one is 16, the other is 8 from the one which was at 16, and just place it right there, just like that. And do it on the right as well. Just drag out from the left and place it 16 pixels from the edge right there. So that should be 16. Okay, yeah. And do this 8 from this. So as you can see on the top, there's a pink number. That's it. Okay, so I'll just place everything according to that. Now let's just center this out. Make sure this is centered. Now that this is centered, make sure this one is actually less than 80. So I'll make sure this is like 40 or maybe 60. Perfect. And this will show what level I am at, and the other one will show me my points or my credit, right? So here I want to show this yellow right here, just like that. Perfect. And I want to just type in my level, so gold. Yeah. And the font that I'm using here is Cerebri Sans, or you can use something which is free of cost, which is Noto Sans. Yeah, so let's go with Noto Sans for this project real quick. And now that I have this, I'll just quickly select both of these elements, and from here I can just center align both of these to make sure it's pixel perfect. And here this rounded rectangle will actually be 50% in opacity, and it'll show in white my points. So I can say 20 credits or whatever I want to say, right? And I'll just center this out, make sure this center aligned, this text. And the bottom one will actually not be bold. It'll be a regular font, and 20 should be a larger font. So let's go for 16 for this and 12 for this, right? I think that's worth how much this is required. And make sure this gold is also 16. Then you have to have a bit of so 20 credits and gold. That's fine, that's perfect. Now what I'm going to do here is very simple. I'm going to create a PayPal card. How do I do that? Just make a rectangle just like this. the height should be slightly less than the width. It shouldn't be a square, that's for sure. And I'll make the height 140, and the width is just from this line to this line. Or you can do the other way, you can just bring it till the last line here and the last line here, just like that, whatever way you like to do it. And we'll make sure that there's no border, and 8 pixels of border radius for this one, and make the height a little more. So let's say 200. It's a little too much. 180. Perfect. Now I'll place this about 30 pixels from here. We'll be doing more 30, so 30 pixels from here, and make sure that this white is this blue now, and make sure this is about 20% in opacity. Let's do 25. Perfect. In here I'm gonna create more waves now, and I'm just gonna create some very smooth waves. I don't want these waves to be like large tall waves, and just make something like this. It doesn't have to be pixel perfect. And now that I have this, I'll just make sure this is white, the background's white, and it's 20% in opacity. Maybe less, 15. Let's do a 15. And just like we did in the main background, we're just gonna copy it like this. So 3 should do it. 3 is a charm. So just group all of these together and duplicate this rectangle by saying Command D. This rectangle will come on top. Make sure it's on top of these waves, and say Command Shift M by selecting both and saying Command Shift M. You will basically create a mask. Now again, you have to make sure that these waves are actually taller, the top ones, so that they fill the bottom here, just like that. That's perfect. Now what I'm gonna do is bring in the PayPal logo, which I've already saved, or I can just, you know what, I'll just bring this. Okay, so my laptop actually died, so I had to cut there and bring my charger in. So now let's just quickly continue, and we make sure that this text is not medium, it's regular, and just highlight that and say regular from here. And also this dash should be regular as well, so regular it is. And as you can see, and also the opacity of this text should be 50%. So here, rather than going here in the opacity panel, we just change it from here, because otherwise the entire text opacity will change. See how that works? Now that's perfect. Now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna say amount or balance right here, and the balance should be small, so make sure this is 12 pixels, and also not medium at all, it should be regular. And below this I'll just duplicate the balance, and I'll say $0. There's 0 balance in my Stripe account. And what I'll do here is make this text larger, much larger, so 14 should be good, and make this medium for now. So you know this, and make this a 16, and make this a bold for sure. So you know that the balance is this much in your Stripe account right here, and just make sure there's 0 pixel difference between here, and place it in accordance with the Stripe logo on top. Make sure it's 15 pixels from the bottom as well, so that's 15 pixels, so that's pretty perfect. It's pretty in line. And we'll create another button which goes something like this, right? And make sure this rectangle is also 15 pixels from the edge, the right edge there, and centered with this. So if you drag it around, you'll see this line being centered. That's perfect. Now the border radius is 50 pixels, because this should be a full border radius, and the appearance should be 50% opacity. And we'll just say add balance. Yep. So we'll make this about 12 pixels, and we'll give this medium. I don't want it to be a bold. And just place it right here in the center of this button. Perfect. And I'll just group these two together. That's a perfect button. Now this is a very clean UI. I'll just duplicate this entire card, place it right here on the right, about 5 pixels from here, and make this, just scale this down so it acts as an almost like an accordion on the left, like a carousel. So it looks like a carousel which can flow from left to right or right to left. So there we have it. That is our card. Okay, below this card we want to have some actions for each of these cards, right? So what we're going to do is just create a rectangle like this, remove the border, and make this same blue, and we'll be giving it about 25% in opacity. And what I'm going to do is also from here I'll just bring these anchor points to the bottom here so that it doesn't overlap in any way, just like that. And what I'll do here is I'll add one anchor point at the edge right here, and the other one will just move up like this. And the other one, what I'm going to do is double click on this and adjust these here like this, and make sure this curves around this, so make it look much better. And here also what I'm going to do is create one anchor point here at the edge here and bring this other one right here, double click, and just adjust these till you think it fits this card perfectly. Perfect. And I'll just move this around left and right, and as you can see now it doesn't overlap in this or anything like that, right? That's pretty perfect. Now what I'm going to do is add actions to this. So add actions, I will again download some icons from here, from a feather, and I've already downloaded most of them, so I'll just quickly drag and drop. Okay, as you can see I've dragged and dropped the icons and placed the text as well. So the icons, all icons here are width of 12, and I'm not focusing too much on the height here. The height can be variable, but the width should be 12 for each icon, and the font size is of course 14. And I've also given dividers between them at an equal distance of about, say, 15. Let's do 15. Perfect. And I've also tried and place it in the center of this rectangle here. So you have your actions ready, and the next step would be to create the next section. So the next section is last transactions. So I'll quickly say last transactions. If you want, you can also give a slight divider between the cards and the other sections, but I'm not giving that for now, but that's a quick tip you can do. And I want to place this 30 pixels from the cards, just like this. Perfect. And how am I checking all these? What I'm doing is just selecting one thing, holding Option or Alt, and just selecting anything else or hovering my mouse over anything else, and it shows me how much distance there is between these elements. That's a cool tip. Last transaction should be 14, and medium is fine. So now what I'm going to do is create, I have a component, so I'll just drag it out here, and all I've done here is made a quick component, and this should be about 15 from the heading right here. And this card should start from the 8 line and not the 16 line, which is on the left. So this component is ready to go. Now what I'm going to do is right click and say ungroup component, and I'm going to group this one component again, and I'm going to say make component. So now this acts as a parent component, right? So anything I change in this will change in any other child components as well. So I'm just gonna hold Option and copy this over, just like that. So 15 pixels difference, and copy this over again. So it should be 15 pixels difference again. So again, this will act as a carousel more or less. And here, how do I change these icons? What I've done is I've already created this. So I've already put one icon here. So what I'm gonna do is double click inside here, so this icon is inside this mask, which is by default created by Adobe Xd. And I'm gonna bring, say, the McDonald's icon right here. So make sure that this window is right here, and just drag it inside this. As you can see, it fills it up, but I don't want it to fill it up, so I'll just make this edge to edge right here, just like that. and place it in the center of this. Perfect. Now you have a McDonald's icon, but make it smaller, make it visually more appealing, make it visually more aligned with this. Perfect. Now it looks much similar to the Subway icon, and the text here itself is $20. Let's change this to $5.5 dollars, and again I will use the Noto Sans font instead of IBM or anything else. I've used in the original component I've used IBM, so I'll change it to Noto Sans, which is obviously free of cost to download. And as you can see, if I've changed something in the parent, it changes everywhere. That's a pretty cool feature that just see what I do here. Now see, all these 4 R's will actually change in its fonts, which is pretty cool. That's the point of using a parent element. And here I can do one more thing, is I can change the icon as well here, but I'm gonna leave that for you guys to try out. And before we move forward, I want to give a quick shout out to my faithful subscribers who have really helped me out grow this channel, and are also really keen on learning and experimenting, and they send me their trial work which they've just experimented with, and it looks pretty cool. So go ahead and follow me on Twitter and LinkedIn and send me all these experiments that you do, and I'll showcase them on this channel. Go ahead and best of luck. Okay, so coming back to Adobe Xd, I'll just hold Option and I'll just drag this out and make sure this is 30 pixels from this. So we're keeping a distance of 30 between sections and 15 between the text and the cards. So rather than saying last transactions, let's say credits, right? And I also have another component saved. There you go. Now this is the same shape that we created originally here, so you can just pick and paste it here. And these icons are again from Feather, so that's a pretty cool service. And gold is the level that we are at. This is 20, and I'll just change it to Noto Sans. That is what we needed, right? And the level to Noto Sans as well. So Noto Sans is what we'll be using throughout this project. Make sure everything is Noto Sans. Perfect. And make sure this is 15 pixels, right? And what I'll do here is I will just copy this shape. Double click inside and just copy this shape. Copy this shape outside and paste it 15 pixels from the left shape, from the first shape. And there you go, 15 pixels. And I'll make this a white for now. This one will be a white, and this will show me how many points I originally have. So 20 points, right? 20 points. And the 20 will be, this whole thing will be this dark blue, which I've already saved, and I'll place it in the center like just so. And 20 will be 20 pixels in size, and this will be let's keep this at 14, shall we? Or let's just leave it at 12. That's fine. And 20 is actually bold, so I'll make that bold and place it in the center of this. So I'll make sure this is centered just like that. And I'll duplicate this one once more and place it 15 pixels like this. And also make sure that all of this is aligned to this second grid line and not the first. Perfect. And there you go. We have perfectly placed icons right here. And what I'll do is make sure this is 20%, or you know what, I'll do 100% on this, and I'll create a wave here. I'll use the pen tool and create a simple wave just like that. Right, and just like that. That's pretty fine, right? And I'll increase the height of this wave to reach somewhat the top, and make sure just adjust it to make it a little more subtle, just like that. And increase it from the bottom as well. Perfect. And give this the fill the dark blue, and make sure this is about 15. Yeah, so this shows our level right here. So we'll just duplicate this and put it in the center, and we'll change this 20 to say 10 points, and in the third line I'll say till diamond, right? And till diamond should be in 12 as well. but it should be a lower opacity. So just change the opacity from here to 50, and there you go. There you have 10 points till diamond. So you know, okay, this is 10 points are left till diamond, and that's my level. And there you go. That is a simple first page. To create the second page and to create the prototype, what we'll do is say Command D and just duplicate this. And what I'm going to do here quickly is basically select all of these, the stripe cards and everything here, drag it till the bottom and just reduce the opacity. But we will change one thing. The middle icon will increase the opacity to 100. Okay, so what I'm going to do is just select all of these and move them down like this. One thing that I'll change is bring the send money to the top, and make sure this is also scaled up just like this, and bring it in the center just like this. Perfect. And everything else should be 0% opacity, and even the cards here, the entire card, should be 0% opacity with everything else included except the send money, and bring anything to 0% opacity and all these elements as well. Yeah, so 0% opacity, and bring all of these things down. And even the cards you can leave it there, and make sure even these lines are 0% opacity. You know, we don't want to leave out anything. And I've already saved some components here. I'll just copy them over because I'm feeling a little lazy, and we'll place it here. And what I'm going to do is unlock all of these by just selecting all of these and say Command L. And I will make sure that the height of this increases till it reaches somewhat like this. And the top wave, I'm going to double click on all of these anchor points to make them straight. So you want them to be straight just like this, and place it and just line them up just like this, right? Perfect. Straight lines and a straight top portion. So we'll just select all of these and we'll bring the profile picture and everything up. We will just reduce, we'll just scale this down a little bit just like this, and bring it in the center just like that. Perfect. And we'll now say send money right here, and we will bring these selections just below the send money. Make sure this is 15, right? So that's about it, right? And below this, what we're going to do is create a quick form just like this. So I'll just copy the heading right here, and I'll teach you how to create a quick form which looks good. So create a quick rectangle and just put it edge to edge just like this, and make sure that the height is about 50. Yeah, and remove the border and give this the border radius of 8, and make sure the fill is 0% in opacity. We gotta do that, and make sure that the border is 2 pixels or 2 points, and it's a white. And again, the white should be about 50, or you know what, 25. Perfect. And we've already downloaded the icons, so I'll just drag these icons over to here. Just drag them over to here, anywhere where it won't fill in anything, and just make it the same size and give it white border, right, which will fill it in with white. And this should now be 15% from the left, and somehow it is almost 15, right? Perfect. And we'll also use the line tool to create a quick line between this and the actual text that we need the user to place. 15 pixels from this man right here, and the border should be white. It should be about 20% in opacity. Perfect. And we'll also create a placeholder so the user knows, okay, this is what I need to write in. So name of recipient should be what the user needs to give, and it should be about 50% in opacity, so that the user knows this is a a placeholder and not the actual text. And there you go. That you will just to create the entire form, you'll just group this and duplicate these again and again till you have the entire form ready, and make sure this is also about 15 from the there's a difference of 15 pixels between each of these. Now we're going with 15 as our magic number right here. So we have a couple of text fields, and what I'm going to do is at the last I'm going to place a submit button, but make sure that the button is not full size, because in this case, in this application, the user needs to carefully press the button after reading everything he's inserted, so he doesn't send the money to somebody wrong. So it shouldn't be too big and it shouldn't be too in your face. So it should be the rounded button that we created and 50% in opacity, and a text over this which says send money. That's it. That was the entire application. Now we're quickly going to prototype this. So if I click on send money and go to prototype mode and drag this arrow to the second artboard, I can quickly say tap Auto Animate, and ease in out is what we're going for, and let's just say 1 second, and we'll do the same with this arrow which takes us back, and there we go. So let's try this out. So if I click on send money, see how everything animates, this kind of folds back in and this appears. If you want to make this even more appealing, then just copy all of these elements from this right and just copy this over to this first one right here and place it somewhere towards the bottom, and hide it by saying command comma, so it doesn't really interfere with anything else, or control comma, and just say play, and let's see how it works now. See, it's much cleaner now since it comes from the bottom, and if I click on this arrow, it'll go back to where we have. So there you have it. This is another UI design tutorial in Adobe Xd. I post every Monday and Thursday, so go ahead and subscribe to my channel and hit that bell icon to become a part of our ever-growing family. And also like this video if you did, and I'll see you in the next video. God bless.